stop there. Wow, it's loud, that, isn't it? Yeah, anyway. Welcome to the Killer Comic Show, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, our Chief Charlie, I like that, Chief Charlie the Chief, I think he's in Disneyland or something. He's away somewhere, isn't he? Who knows? So you've got myself and good old Andy, Perpetual Comics himself, here tonight, holding down the fort with lots of Killer Comic related goodness to talk about. Andy, how are you diddling? How are you doing?
I'm not too bad. It's been another 2 weeks. These 2 weeks seem to really fly in.
They do.
Work's been crazy, life's been crazy, but we've had a bit of good weather this neck of the woods, so I can't complain about that. And some of us, Charlie's on holiday, you're going on holiday.
Yeah. So I'm on holiday from tomorrow for a fortnight. Every time I tell people where I'm going, they all kind of go, really? So I'm going to Benidorm for a fortnight. People kind of, it's got a bit of a reputation, I think.
Listen, it's the Blackpool, no disrespect to Blackpool, but it's the Blackpool of
Stop right there. I did a video once. I don't know if you've saw. Of course you've seen it. You watch all my videos.
You've got a channel?
Yes,
sorry, I'm not a member, but yeah, I watch the ones that I can afford.
I went to Blackpool. And I did a video about a shop I visited there. I stood on a nail. Anyway, in the video, I think I said something along the lines of Blackpool was like Paris, but shit or something. The grief I got in the comments for that was horrendous.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Listen, I've never been to Blackpool, but I hear they do like £1 burgers and hot dogs. So
you get change. You know what I mean? It's a funny place. It's lost its... Anyway, this is not a travel show. This is a comic show. Let's move on. We've got a whole host of people in the chat. Let us start off. We have got Fuzzy the Dunlop, Regulators, Mount Up. Nice to see you, Fuzzy. Nice to see Fuzzy. Me and Fuzzy have been having a little bit of back and forth. Have you seen the latest episode of Daredevil, Andy?
I have.
Thoughts?
I thought it... Like most of the episode, I thought it was incredibly slow to start, and then it sort of gets to the crescendo at the end, and then you're looking forward to the next episode. But it almost feels as if Kingpin is sort of starting to become a bit more Kingpin, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you got that iconic shot, didn't you, of him in his white tux kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I enjoyed this episode more than some of the others. But Fuzzy's absolutely right. He mentioned to us that it feels like this is kind of a part one of a two-part show. It feels like it's taken a while to build. It's not blown us away, I have to say, as much as I'd hoped. Sadly,
it's definitely got me more invested in the Daredevil character. So if anything, it's made me go and read comics. One of which we are going to talk about today. Nice. So Fuzzy's the way I linked that.
Yeah, I see that. You're very good. Very good. Better than Charlie. Very good. So I haven't told Fuzzy, but Fuzzy's been asking me to review a particular book for a while, and we both messaged each other last night and said, let's just read it. Because I was going to read it next week on holiday. But we're going to talk about that in a second. Fuzzy's review, as usual, of Daredevil is full of the kind of in-depth analysis that you would expect from Fuzzy. Daredevil, pap. I mean, you don't need much more than that, really, do you? You don't need much more than that.
It's not a Daredevil. Mince.
It's better than Mince. On the fuzzometer, is Pap worse than Mince or better than Mince? I'm not sure.
I am just thinking we need to have a fuzzometer.
A fuzzometer
as part of this show.
I love it.
You know, we should just have one of those fuzzometers for comics. Yeah,
it moves. It moves during the show to show levels of interest. You know, when we're waffling on about crap. Yeah. It's not a Daredevil show. It's a Matt Murdock show. Again, I think that is absolutely fair. I think that's fair. And Muse should have been the big bad for the entire series. They wasted him. Yeah, I'm surprised they bumped him off. Anyway, let's get back to the chat. We've got Bat Dan, hey up, me ducks. Nice to see you, Dan. We've got good old Terry, Deadman, Killer Time. Certainly is, Terry. Hope you are well. Terry's done a cracking video recently all about Star Trek comic books. So please do check that out.
I'm out.
Love a bit of Trek, man. Love a bit of Trek.
Man, but I'm not Trekkie.
It's a cracking video, and it's all about Trek. I love it. We've got Wayne. Good day, all. Nice to see you, Wayne. We've got Tragedy Tales. Thank you so much for joining, Tragedy. Hope you're doing well. OAP holiday then, Peter. It is, mate. It is. I literally expect to just lie by the pool, and people can come and kind of water us and feed us now and then. You know what I mean?
Is there such a thing as the Ginger Rinsed Brigade? Because you must be the captain of that.
Where there is ginger rinsed, but you'll not tend to find them overseas on holiday because the sun, you see, would just burn. So we're not really allowed out in the heat. Yeah. Total block. Yeah, I just cover myself. Yeah,
Ooh. Oh, slowly.
Tragedy. Got my monthly subscription of Comics Today. Excited to get reading. Feral. I've dropped off Feral. You weren't keen on Feral from the start, really, were you?
Straight away I was like, no.
Yeah, it didn't do it for
Absolute Wonder Woman though, and Batman.
Yeah. I've dropped off on Absolute Superman a little bit. I need to read that. Epitaphs of the Abyss I've heard is very good. Got some good reads. Enjoy those, mate. Let me know what your favourite are. Batman, trying not to get run over by the OAP scooters. Yeah.
He's on one. He'll be
I'm on one. Yeah. Pimp it up. Pimp my ride. Stay out of the Irish pubs in Benidorm. They charge too much for Guinness. I do like it. It's not my favourite Tipple Terry, but whenever I go over to visit my good pal Andy here and James T. Keegan, we always start the trip off by a couple of Guinnesses, don't we? And they always go down very well the first few, don't they?
We had it with the first Guinness we had when we were in Dublin was in Temple Bar.
Temple Bar
is very expensive.
$4,000 for 2 drinks, wasn't it?
Absolutely, but then we had a couple in White's Tavern in Belfast, and those went down really nicely.
I am partial to a baby Guinness as well, I have to say. Leon, good evening all. Sorry I'm late. Still getting used to daylight savings time. Yeah. I don't understand all that. Why we still do that. Northeast Nerd. Oh, hope you are well. Hey guys, nice to see you. Bat Dan, Muse got wasted. He certainly did. Nothing worse than Pap's the very bottom. So we've got Pap, Mince, Pure Mince. Got you.
Is that part of the minceometer?
Yeah, that's the mince. The minceometer. We've got Chris Bell. Nice to see you, Chris. Pap and Mince sound like two starting a new chat show. They sound like Smurfs to me. Don't they? They sound like two Smurfs. Pap and Mince. Leon, I have a clapometer. I've had the clap. No, that's a different thing. But that's for measuring my clap here. Very good, Leon. Very good. Hey, we've got loads of comments here. We've got loads. Everybody's popping in the chat. Superb. Ferrell's kind of dropped off. The art's keeping me buying. Yeah,
that's true.
It's probably a one I might, because I think I got to issue 3 or 4, Andy, and then just gave up. I might buy the trade paperback at some point if I see it cheap, and just have a flick through. Just read Punisher Year 1 and loved it. Is that a new one out, or is that the old Punisher Year 1? I'm not sure I've read that one.
No, me neither.
Love a bit of Punisher. We've got Luke from Journey into Thunder. Hope you're well, Luke. Hope you're well, bud. Even lads, twice in a week. Lovely. I'm very lucky. Nice to see you. Fuzzy, guest artist on Absolute Batman this month, and the last time there was one, I didn't like the issue. Well, mate, we're gonna touch on that in a little bit, because me and Andy decided, just because we're like yous, we're gonna treat you tonight to not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 comic book reviews. Isn't that right, Andy? And
Absolutely. Yeah,
we've read all 4 of them. Both of we've read all 4, so should be some good chat.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we've got Northeast Nord. That's proper Geordie. Northeast Nord came out in '94. Punisher Year 1. I will have read it then. You remember that one, Andy?
I don't. It doesn't. I probably, when I see the covers and stuff like that, I'll be like, oh yeah, that one. But
I will have read it, but I'm struggling to remember it. But I will have read it, I'm sure. Tragedy, dabbling into Geiger. Oh, I love Geiger. Big fan of Geiger. Yeah. Big fan of Geiger. Okay, ladies and gents, what we're going to do tonight is me and Andy have since the boss is away, we've decided to just go shit mad and we'll do what we want. So we've changed the slides around a little bit. We're going to do comic book review, little bit of news for you, comic book review, news, blah blah blah, until we get bored, really.
Yeah.
Till we've
We might just go mental and just scrap the whole slides and just have a chat.
Balls to it. Yeah, just crack on. You know what I mean? But we are contractually obliged by Charlie, because he'll sue if we don't. We've got to do the cover bit, haven't we? Now, Charlie couldn't be asked to send her a cover, so we've actually asked our good friend and contributor Fuzzy of the Dunlop to send her a cover pick. And if this goes well, we might do this in the future on other episodes, get people to send her in. So You've got a cover from myself, Andy, and Fuzzy. And there we go. Look at them.
I'm up first, I think, aren't I?
Look at that.
I went for Batman Dark Part. Jesus, I put my teeth back in. Gee, good start. Should we just rewind and start again? Batman Dark Parton's #1 by Martin Simmons. Where did that come from? I have no idea where that. I think this is fantastic. I'm a bit of a penchant for Martin Simmons' artwork, and I just thought this almost felt as if it could be a panel within the book. It just kind of it exuded the struggle that Batman has in this particular book. I don't know if you've read it yet.
No, I haven't read the book yet.
And I like that sort of zombie feel of like all the hands and stuff like that, trying to grab him and sort of consume the Batman. Are you a Martin Simmons fan, Peter?
I am. I do love Martin's work. I have a slight irritation with him. I don't know if you remember, I asked him to do Me Too. When we're at Thought Bubble, I watched him doing a remark for someone, and it was friggin' phenomenal. And I said, I'll have two like that, please. And they were very disappointing, shall we say. But that aside, I love his artwork. And to be fair, Andy, when I was looking at covers for my cover pick, what I do, I don't know how you do, but what I do is when I'm looking at the covers online, I download the one I'm going to probably use. I downloaded this first. So this was the one I thought, I love this. I just love the artwork. It jumped out at us. I love the Yellow Bat logo. You know, it just jumps. So yeah,
it's almost got that pastely feeling, you know, as if it's kind of a smudged to a certain extent. The thing is, when I was looking at the covers, I completely forgot that C2E2 covers were getting released this week. So whenever I'd realised the Miko Soyan cover, I was like, oh no, I need to go and have a look. Have you had a look at the C2E2 covers?
No, not yet.
No. All hundreds of them. It's strange because there's like multiple versions of the one book and lots of books that you've kind of never heard of. It's almost like there's lots of art books with different covers been released. But yeah, no, I totally forgot about C2E2.
Yeah, me too, mate. But this one, stunning. I really do like it. I like, I enjoy being able to have a bit moan about other people's picks, but I can't with this one. I really do like it. I've gone for the Amazing Spider-Man issue #1. Yes, another relaunch. Yes, another #1. And I think it's got about 400 different variant covers or something like that. I don't do names, but I think this is Miko Soyan. That's what I said. Yeah, Miko Soyan. Yeah. Now, I don't know why. This just jumped out at us. I think that the imagery of some of Spider-Man's villains there, particularly the Green Goblin, I really like the Mysterio on the back there, just looks really, really cool. Not so sold on the Doc Ock face. I'm not sure what he's doing. But I love the idea of the camera flash kind of segmenting it and making it look like different. I just like the fact that you've got the different imagery of the different members of his kind of rogues gallery there. I don't think I'm particularly familiar with this artist. I'm not one that would normally go, as you know, for a standard Spider-Man kind of cover. But I don't know, this one just jumped out at us. I really, really liked it. What do you think of it?
Yeah. No, whenever I saw it as well, I thought it was fantastic. I love the way they've used the flash of the camera to break up the segments of the book with the different characters and stuff. Yeah. It reminds me, it's almost like a kind of a homage to a Spider-Gwen book where it was something similar, where it was the phone and it was all broken up into different sections. But I love this cover, and I think I got like halfway through the first issue of this, and I actually really enjoyed it. And I went in with really, really low expectations because recent Spider-Man or Spider-Man books have been, a bit
Yeah,
crap.
not the best.
But this was a good first read, at least for the first half of the book. The artwork was sublime, and it was quite tongue in cheek a lot of the book, quite quirky and quite funny and stuff like that. But yeah, as for this cover, I think this is another cracker. So
it's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah.
And then our good pal Fuzzy has sent with this Pin-Up Apocalypse issue number 1, Svet Shubina variant. Very, very, very sexy, Fuzzy. Very sexy. I'm loving the purple. I'm loving the figure. It just looks nice. What do you think, Andy?
I one that completely passed me by until I seen the slides, and again it got me down a rabbit hole of looking into Sveta Shibina's Instagram whenever I was doing the post, and some of the work is excellent. It kind of reminded me a little bit like Terry Dodson, a lot of J. Scott Campbell, a little bit of John Royal as well. I don't know if you've seen John Royal stuff. He does a lot of G.I. Joe stuff. And it's got that John Tyler Christopher sort of negative space vibe about it as well.
It has.
So it's kind of drawn a lot of different artists. So if you haven't checked out Sveta's Instagram, I'd implore you to, because some of the stuff is fantastic.
Some stunning covers there. I have to say I like all three. We're not doing a vote tonight, ladies and gents, but if you want to drop a comment about which one jumps out for you, please do so. Before we move on, just going to jump to the chat. We've got Bat Dan. Not seen that Simmons. Very nice. Reminds me a bit of the Morrison Arkham Asylum book. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
And Bat Dan, I'm sure it was you that got that phenomenal Simmons Dracula cover, didn't you? You got some original artwork from him, which was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. We've got Connie. Always nice to see you, Connie. I hope you're well. And we've got Gemma Mac. Nice to see you. Hope you're doing well as well. We've got my good pal, Efren. Always nice to see you, Efren. Efren's just put out another video today, Andy. I don't know if you'll have had time to see it yet, where he's picked up 5 key books. A couple of Spider-Man books in there. There are some stunners, as usual, with Efren. He's bought some spot-on books. It's the second best comic book related show on YouTube. Who's number 1? Glad you asked. Well, it's going to be our advanced order show in a couple of weeks. Absolutely, Efren. Absolutely. Shameless plug. Tragedy. I absolutely love that Spider-Man cover. Sadly, I have no idea what's going on inside that series. I stopped reading Spider-Man, the regular book, for a little while. I do feel like I want to pick it up. Listen, guys, we've got 17 people watching. Thank you so much. Please do make sure you hit that like and subscribe to the Killer Comic Show. It would be much appreciated. Prefer the... excuse me. Andy, names?
Bermeja.
Variant for Spidey. Yep, very cool. Has to be Fuzzy's then. Is he going to do a talk over? We should get him on. Oh, we've got my pal. We've got the Extreme channel. Nice to see you, Mr. X. Drunk on a plane. Yep. So no idea what you're talking about, but dropped a comment to support the show. Thank you so much, Mr. X. Please do, if you like statues and just random mad shit, go check out the Extreme channel. It's always good fun.
Is that James, like a real alternative to snakes on a plane?
Mr. X travels a lot. He's quite often in Vegas and places like that. And he is a gentleman who enjoys a little tipple now and then. So yeah. So he's a good guy. We've got James Mack. Nice to see you, James. Hope you're doing well, bud. James, drop a comment in the chat. Remind me when your interview is, because I know you've got an interview coming up with someone. So please drop that in the chat. Fuzzy. Been good reports about Spider-Man. Yeah, I'll have to read that one. I'll have to get that one of ones to read when I'm away, I think. Wayne, Fuzzy's cover for me. Good stuff. Chris comes in from nowhere to show you boys how to pick a cover. Well played, Fuzzy lad.
I was actually thinking about how many years have I been doing this show, and how many times have we done the Killer Comics or Killer covers? And, you know, we get guest covers in and they just shows up. It's
every time.
Fair play, Fuzzy. Fair play.
Every time. She's an artist still stuck in war-torn Ukraine. I think she's going to be a big hit. I didn't know that, Fuzzy. That's really interesting. Yeah, I'll have to check out her stuff. James, Fuzzy wins. Lots of support for Fuzzy here. I'm going to unlike and subscribe now you've said that. What did we say?
We've said a lot of things in the first 19 minutes of the show, so we could be... people, you know, unsubscribe.
What did we say, Connie? What did we say to upset you? Connie, you know we love you. We know you love you. We love you. Simmons' commission price is going through the roof now. Glad I got that Dracula one when I did. Yeah, it's a stunner, mate. Efren, we should do a show of Peter pronouncing people's names. I don't do names. It's because I'm Geordie. I have issues. Gentlemen, laughing at us. Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. Okay, let's crack on. Oh, sorry. James is just jumping in there. Thanks, Pete. I've got Sammy from Skeleton Key Comics coming on the channel on Saturday at 9 p.m. Good stuff. Awesome. Good stuff. James, I'm off on me Holly Bob's Saturday morning, so I might not be able to join live, but I will try and watch it when I'm over in sunny Spain. Okay, first of the books that we are going to chat about tonight. Oh, Jesus. So, Fuzzy recommended this one to a little while ago. This is Daredevil Cold Day in Hell. Set in the future. It's very much, I think, Andy, Daredevil's Dark Knight Returns kind of setup. I'm going to let you explain it in a second, but for me, phenomenal artwork, phenomenal storytelling. I got really big Avengers Twilight kind of excitement and vibes from it. I loved every single page of this book. I just thought it was absolutely phenomenal. What about yourself?
Well, I seen Fuzzy put up and was saying really good things about it, big things about it, you know, comparing it to Avengers Twilight, and I loved that book. I think I might have picked that as my sort of series of last year. So I went in with this with really high hopes, and I think like you, from the very first page, I was drawn in when we got when he was in the graveyard and he was talking to the headstone. And you're like, right, who's the headstone going to be? What's it going to be? And then it just come up, basically, you know, Wilson Fisk, and at the end, and Warnling King. And I just thought, right, let's go. I don't know how much spoilers we want to go into this, but ultimately I'm going to spoil it. He gets his
it's a couple of weeks old. A couple of weeks old.
Yeah. He gets his powers back, but it's just the way that they tell that story. The artwork in this as well. I believe I don't know if you read the little sort of bit of blurb after the story in the comic. It sort of tells you the background to this. So this idea between the artist and the writer was like pre-COVID, and through one reason or another they didn't get to actually make it until now. But what happened is the writer, Charles Soule is the writer, just gave Steve McNiven a kind of a clear run at it and said, like, this is the idea of the story, gave him like 30 pages, but allowed him to sort of create the story and mold the story with his artwork. Yeah. So I definitely have a read at the sort of pages afterwards. But this was such a fantastic story, some twists and turns, loads of intrigue, and it really made you want to read a lot more Daredevil. And it made me want to go and check out a lot more of Charles and Steve's work. Book of the year for me. I think I messaged Fuzzy to say, look, this was absolutely excellent. You were bang on. It has total Avengers Twilight vibes. And for me, I said to you today, this is book of the year thus far for me. Can't wait for issue 2.
And it's only a 3-parter as well, which means we're going to get a nice kind of concise story. I think I was really into it from the start, really. I thought it was great. But then when we got to this image we've got there where he encounters Captain America, I was just, this is phenomenal. I loved the rooftop chase kind of scene, and it just made us smile. Fuzzy had mentioned a little while ago that he's gone back and read this book 4 times now. Now I'm absolutely the same. I'm taking this one on holiday with us, and I'm going to reread it a couple of times probably.
Inner monologue that he has with himself, and even just the quality of the work of the sort of fonts and the colours that he used, and the lettering, I thought was fantastic as well, because you almost felt as if you were Daredevil to a certain extent. It'll be interesting to see if this is only a 3-issue run, if they do other characters Cold Day in Hell. So if they do Daredevil, they do Wilson Fisk or whoever, you know what I mean, like people like that. So
I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was lovely seeing Cap in it and all the rest of it. But part of us wondered if at some point this was going to kind of dovetail into a connection with Avengers Twilight somehow, but I don't think it will. But it's nice that Marvel are doing these kind of standalone future type stories. I think I loved it. A few people in the chat. Bat Dan, what's Charles Soule done before? Recognize the name? I don't know. Star Wars, is it? Steve McNiven, I know he did a lot of Captain America stuff, I think, and I recognize his art style. James McNiven gets Captain America. He absolutely does, mate. He absolutely does. Just the artwork in this, I think, is beautiful. I really do. Art and colours are stunning. I moaned at the $7.50 price, but it's worth every penny. Glorious work. It is, Fuzzy. And this is, again, I know I bang on about it a lot, but this is definitely a book that, once it's concluded, I'll be looking for in a large-scale format book, nice hardback to sit on my shelf. There are certain books, and I don't know if you're the same, Andy, that I know that I'm going to buy to keep and use them, in the future, kind of thing. So this is one of those kind of books for me.
I definitely do the same, but it's very rare that I would do it because there's very few like really great stories that I would say, right, I want that on my shelf, and it's something I would go back to, because I very rarely go back to a book once I've read it. But this would definitely be one that it's almost like you want to consume the artwork again, because there's the tiny details and stuff like that that you sort of tend to miss. So I really can't blame Fuzzy for going back to it like 3 or 4 times already.
That's interesting, Fuzzy. Charles Soule, he did 8 Billion Genies and Lucky Devils. I didn't connect the two. I loved 8 Billion Genies. I've read issue 1 of Lucky Devils, but I've not read the rest. Didn't connect them. That's interesting. Tragic Tales, I'm really hoping Battle Beast story is good. Yeah, me too, mate. That's one of my ones I'm most looking forward to, I have to say. And Connie, Charles Soule did a lot of Star Wars comics. That's where I recognise him from. Now I'm going to have to check out Cold Day in Hell. Absolutely. Give it a go. I think.
Oh, definitely.
Even if you're not a big Daredevil fan, because I like Daredevil, but I'm not a massive Daredevil fan. This is just a great story, So
I think this could be any character, but I think it's just really interesting, smart, the way that the writers brought the way that he brought the powers back as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that was a cool scene. That was a very cool scene. Okay, moving on. Little bit of news for you. This has kind of changed a little bit since we pulled this slide together, but terrific. This is the news that apparently comic books aren't going to be affected by the Trump tariffs. So there was some concern originally that we would get bumps in prices, but apparently that's not going to be the case. Since then, we've then had the change in the 10% or whatever the hell it is anyway. But I think this had the markets, or certainly the comic book stores, worrying a little bit. Do you think, I know we've talked previously about difference between paper comics and digital comics and all the rest of it, and I know it's a common question, but do you think the price of comics is turning collectors away these days, Andy?
I definitely think it'll have an impact. I think the unfortunate thing is that it's making them inaccessible for kids. And if a generation don't get the opportunity or the means to be able to pick up comics, then but by the time they get to our age, that it's going to be, they're going to lose a generation. And the less that do get picked up, then you're going to move to that digital side of things. I think it's inevitable that at some point there will be a full move to digital. I think that's where it will go. But I think it's just making them inaccessible for kids. And I think that's mostly the disappointing thing, whether there's a tariff on them or not.
Yeah, and I think, as Fuzzy says here, he's mentioned, the Daredevil book, £7.50. And unless I've not counted the pages, but when I was reading it, maybe it's just because it was a good book, and I flicked through it quickly because it was such a good book. But I didn't feel like I was reading a big bumper issue or anything. Do you know what I mean?
No, it definitely was. That was 32 pages,
Something
maybe
like
give or take, something like that. Yeah, no, I mean, $7.50 is a huge price to pay for it, and I don't even know, because I read it digitally, so I don't know if the comic is of a prestige format, because it's a 3-issue comic. Maybe Fuzzy can tell us, but it's a lot of money. But I guess it implores me more to go down the route of buying it just in trade paperback. When the 3 issues are there, because you're going to be spending a lot less than £25, I would imagine.
Absolutely, yeah. How much do distillery books go for these days? Is that about a tenner?
Yeah, it's roughly it's about that. But the really interesting thing with the distillery books is I don't know if they're maybe overproduced, but you always find in the likes of Forbidden Planet or comic shops that they sell for like £2-3 a few months later. Yeah. So you question, what is the point? I would obviously pick up a lot of the job covers and stuff like that, but then you see them going for £2 or £3 on Forbidden Planet a few months later, and you sort of consider, well, why am I pre-ordering these books? What's the point?
And it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I know I don't want to bash distillery again because my I've mentioned it before, but it's funny with Distillery. You're right. You always see them discounted, and the books are going to not always be as regular as you might hope, or sometimes they're delayed. So I would never rush in to buy a new series. I think I would probably just wait a few months, pick them up cheaper, and see if it concludes that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
James is just saying CGC sent an email today on tariffs. International collectors had to send to their local CGC office instead of directly to the US. Yeah, I read that. So to stop yourself getting hit by any of the kind of the increases and all the rest of it, if you send it to the UK CGC office, they'll kind of take that brunt, I suppose, for you, which helps, but it does mean that you've got to use their service rather than send them privately, I guess.
I do send them like to the UK office, but in saying that, I mean, when was the last time that you sent a book off to? Probably maybe recently, but for me, it's been at least a year or so. The last time I sent.
Maybe it's about 6 months for me, but I'm currently pulling together a pile of books to send out a load of signatures I want.
Okay.
So yeah, did tell you that me and Efren walked into CGC in London. When we were down,
no.
Yeah, when we were down visiting London, we were just crossing the street, and I said, "Oh, look, there's CGC." Walked straight past it, realised it was the offices. Efren said, "Let's just go in and have a chat." So we did. We went in the lift, went upstairs, and said, "Hello, we're just come to have a look around." And they went, "Yeah, fair enough." It was lovely. It was really nice.
Did they ask you, "Could you please turn around, guys, and leave?"
Yeah. I mean, she was ringing security as we were going in the rooms. But, yeah.
Did you play the Triple G card? Did you have like your propaganda T-shirt on?
Absolutely not. Yeah. Efren, can't wait to read the Daredevil book. Efren, I know you're a big DD fan. I think you will love that, mate. I think you really will love it. Now, dear government have almost finished off the OAP. OAPs, it won't be long before that appears on reading material. Yeah. I haven't sent off a book since 2023. Wow. See, I know there's a lot of negativity about CGC at the moment, and I know there's some people doing videos about opening the packages and stuff like that. I don't know. They won me back a little bit with the signature verification.
Yeah.
Because I do like a good signed book. So that's my last submission. It was 10 books for CGC signing and PSA signing or whatever, and that's probably what my next lot's going to be as well, the same for signing. I'm consistently flabbergasted by the comic biz. They seem to do everything they can to depth charge their own industry. Expensive, print on tissue paper, huge caps. Do you know what, Leon? I think that's a brilliant point, mate, because you're absolutely right. We'll make it really hard to buy comics for younger people. The delays in books are unexcusable, I think. It's not a welcoming hobby, I don't think, at times. What do you think, Andy?
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think I mean, even if you look at comic shops and stuff like that, and even Whatnot to a certain extent, I don't think it's the sort of place where you would want the younger generation to walk into, or even go on a Whatnot show and stuff like that, because it's not an inviting place, and it's like we do call it a community, but if you're brand new to this so-called community, there's only few and far between who are actually inviting to bring you in and show you what, ask all those sort of silly questions that you don't want to ask because you're seen as a bit of a noob. And I think, channels like your own, Peter, and stuff like that do a lot to encourage the newbie to come in and ask those questions and stuff like that. Because that's the only way that you learn. We were all in that same position at one point,
Absolutely. And speaking of questions, just to say, we're getting loads of comments and questions tonight. It's great, guys. We'll love. This is why me and Andy do these kind of shows. We like the interaction with you guys. So please do keep it up. We're loving it. Terry, I wanted to get a book from one of the YouTube guys who'd done the art on it. Book was £11, postage £34. Yeah. I did an interview with an interesting chap a little while ago about a comic book called Stellar Lands that he had out. And he was a nice bloke, and he sent us the PDF version and came on the show and all that kind of stuff. And because I liked talking to him, I thought, I'll support him, jump on. It was I can't remember what it's called. It's like an Australian selling page that he was putting the books and stuff on. And it was exactly that. It was a tenner for the book, but then about £80 for the postage. I said, that's just mental. I kind of do that, Dan, CGC, does anyone know if you can send off books to get more than 2 signatures verified? Don't quote us, Dan, but I'm sure it's up to 5 or something. I know I've got books with 3 signatures and things verified. I'm not sure if there's a current limit.
I was under the impression it was a limit of 2, but again, that was back last year whenever JSA was first doing nothing, so it could have changed.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen them with more than 2, Dan. But yeah, check it out, Dan. If you find out, let us know, because I've got a pile of books that I'm thinking of sending, and one of them's got 3 signatures on. So yeah, need to check that out. Connie, I was buying my nephew some Spider-Man books the other week for his birthday and nearly got taken out by the price of comics for a 9-year-old. Yeah, exactly. It's not pocket money prices anymore. Todd McFarlane proved it can be done for the $2.99 for the last 10 years.
Well, did you see that the last issue that was released had incorrectly printed on at $3.99 or $3.99?
Well, was it incorrect because there had been a news thing that he'd had to increase it by?
No, they confirmed that Spawn is staying at $2.99, but
Really?
I think all the other sort of like issues and stuff like that are going to be $3.99.
Fair play to good old Todd. Hi Ken. Fair play to Todd. I mean, his comics are reasonable priced, and also his action figures for what you get. He's trying to keep the prices down on them as well. You know, he's a good egg, is Todd, and I love watching him being interviewed because the excitement when you can tell he's a guy that is landed on his feet in terms of being a collector and a nerd who's now ended up doing a job that he just loves. He's producing toys and comics and stuff, you know. You can
definitely tell he's got the passion, but I don't think he's silly. He's definitely a businessman at heart as well. Absolutely. And he's the one person that I would love to meet at a con and get a signature. When I was at New York Comic Con, I didn't get the opportunity. But that's the one person I'd love to get a signature from.
Yeah, just to talk to him. Do you know what I mean? Just to have a couple of minutes of picking his brain. Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, guys. Next comic book review. Andy, I think you read this one as well. This is a one that I'd been talking about a little while ago. Again, I think this was recommended by probably Fuzzy or Terry or someone in the chat. Image Comics. I was a fashion school serial killer. I knew I wanted to pick this one up because I do love a bit of serial killer kind of stuff. And I quite like some of these Image comic books in terms of, I don't want to call them horror because it's more crime. Do you know what I mean? It's got some horrific stuff in it. Basic premise for this, ladies and gents, is this is a young lady who's a kind of a fashion student, ends up going to one of the top fashion colleges, universities, whatever in the States, and it doesn't shy away. It doesn't hide it, or I mean, it's in the title. It doesn't hide it or try and tease you or anything. From literally page 1, she's a serial killer. You know, she goes out and murders people. You see her, spoilers, but you see her take down someone in an alleyway, and then later on, she's wearing his skin as a jacket, and things like that. I really enjoyed this, more so than I thought I was going to read it. It intrigued us. It's left us wanting more. I thought she was just going to be a cracker's killer, but then see her, like I say, wearing the flesh of her victims. At the end there, she's literally bathing in a bath of blood. It was like, wow, this has gone a little further than I expected it to go, if that 100%. Makes sense.
Yeah.
I liked the art style. It was just an easy, fun read for me. I thought it was pretty good. I will read on. How about you, Andy?
No, I was the exact same. I must admit, I did roll my eyes whenever I'd seen that you'd picked this book, because it definitely wouldn't be one that I would pick up. And I don't really just know. I don't know why I wouldn't pick that up, but I gave it a go just because I wanted to sort of, join you in the discussion. And I thought it was excellent. It gave off Mean Girl, the movie vibes. It was sort of that sort of teen angst movie thriller vibe off it as well. And I thought that the absolute, gold from this book was the way that the writer had set up the main character, Rennie. Because she is she reminded me a little bit of Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, me too.
She's got those sort of vibes about it, and just that again, it was all to do with the way they wrote the inner monologue when she's sort of talking to herself, and she's like, working out, I'm going to basically kill this guy or this person, and then 2 minutes later, as you say, she's bathing in the blood of that person. So it doesn't actually show you the act, or at least in too much detail, but it makes the reader actually think, which is obviously going to be 10 times worse. What did that person do? I thought it was great, and again, like you, it would definitely be one I'd pick up issue 2 just to see how the character progresses.
Yeah, another good fun book. So we're not doing too badly tonight, Andy. 2 books for 2 really that we've both enjoyed, I think.
Absolutely, yeah.
Fuzzy, about the Spawn thing. It must have changed because the statement I read, all comics were going up $1 each. We'll check that out, Fuzzy, just to confirm. I guess action figure price hiking is likely to get ridiculous with all the tariff bullshit. Yeah, mate, that's going to go through the roof, I think, particularly for the Americans. So you know I collect a lot of hot toys, and I know you do as well, Andy. You collect 1/6 figures.
Yeah.
For us Brits, or over here in the UK and Ireland, the action figures tend to come direct from Hong Kong, so we get hit with our import charges anyway, but we should be relatively stable. For the market from particularly China to the States, those collectors are going to have their eyes torn out. I mean, you're looking at double, if not more, for a figure now. Same with electronics. You know, there's all that stuff about the Nintendo Wii, not Wii, what do you call it?
Switch. Yeah.
Switch, and all that kind of stuff as well. Just crackers. Fuzzy, I got the Janet Jackson homage with that cover. Yeah, I like that one as well, mate. I haven't picked that one up, but I might get myself a copy of that. Connie, I need to start reading comics again, but I'm a bit overwhelmed on where to even start. I've missed so much, but the titles of this intrigue me. Connie, I'm the same at times, and I know Andy is the same. Sometimes we try, I think, and read too much, or pick up series that have been going on for friggin' 20, 30 years, and you get lost in it. I think that's why I tend to enjoy the mini-series, like the Daredevil, the mini-series that you don't really need to know the continuity for, or the new kind of, the series is from Image and things that are like 4 or 5 issues. Again, no baggage to it. Do you know what I mean?
I was in the exact same position as Connie. It's only been maybe over the last sort of month or so that I started back and reading into comics, and I guess this show gives me an excuse to force me into reading some comics, which is a positive. It makes you read. But what I have found is the likes of the Daredevil TV show has got me to read a bit more Daredevil, and I guess just like even Fuzzy's in the chat, just looking at his Instagram, I'm taking other people's recommendations because I think we like similar things. But if somebody really doesn't like something as well, I guess I'll be more intrigued to give it a go just to see what my thoughts are. So I would give Daredevil a go, and that book that we've just reviewed, because I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. The price of oil dropping is what will have the biggest impact on making plastic. Yep. I took an unintentional 8-month break reading, and he'd like a 6 comic run or something to pull me in. Yeah. You've read Avengers Twilight, Connie, haven't you? I recommend checking that one. I've also just reactivated my Instagram, so I'll be looking for Rex. Good stuff, Connie. We'll send some things your way. We'll send some info your way. Okay, next bit of news. I just wanted to mention this, Andy, just quickly. I need to be talked down from this. This is another one of those, what do you call them, crowdfunded kind of things. Kickstarter things, yeah. Have you seen this? I
have. So this is the biggest Kickstarter on the platform. G.I. Joe was second. This is number one. $1.8 million it grossed, I think, in the first, could be wrong here, 24 hours, maybe over a weekend.
It's not been that long, yeah.
Absolutely unbelievable. I just love the idea of it, but again, I don't know if I would make that jump into going through the process, ordering it up, and waiting for it and all the rest of it. It would be a secondary market thing for me, and I know that you're obviously taking that chance that the price is going to go through the roof, but it's just the way I normally operate, unless it's something I really, really want. If it's something I'm just like, oh, that's cool, I'll wait to see what everybody else is doing first. Yeah. I follow the gang.
It's really interesting because, so those of you that haven't seen this is basically collecting in kind of massive omnibus forms all of the UK and the American Transformer comic books, the original runs. And it's stunning. And you can get it in lots of different ways. So you can get a set of just the UK volumes, which is 2 books, a set of the American books, which is 2 books, or you can get this combined 4-volume set, which is the books all kind of melded into one in a collector's box set and things like that. And as seems to be the current thing with these guys, you get the same product but with 2 different colours. So you get the Autobot or Decepticon collection. So it's aiming for the collector out there to want both sets, to complete or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
In terms of price, if you go for the kind of the modest collection. So say the Starscream, or it's called Grimlock for the Autobot version. You get the 4 volumes of all of the stories. You get the collector's box, and then you get some little add-ons and things like that for $300. Plus you ship into the UK, which is going to be about $75. That's not bad for 4 massive chunky omnibuses.
Yeah,
they normally go for about £100 each. That kind of size book,
Yeah.
Is
it limited to a print run, or is it just?
So I don't know. This is my worry with these things, because they quite often go on Kickstarter first, and then they'll appear in shops later on. I've hummed and hawed on this for ages. I'm trying to thin my shelves a little bit. And I was thinking, this looks lovely, it looks sexy, it's jumping out at us, I love the box art. Am I really going to read those 4 volumes of comics from the 80s? I don't think I am, so why am I buying it? Or why would I buy it?
You will buy it first and foremost, Peter, so don't give us that nonsense. But what I would say is these sorts of things are most definitely dust collectors. That's what they are. You will stick them on a shelf, or you put them in a box, and they'll just collect dust. And what will make people pick it up is either you're a massive Transformers fan and you need this in your life because you're going to consume it all again, or it's FOMO because you're fearing missing it out. And what will happen is, or there'll be the alternative where you'll get the flipper who will buy 2 and just put them straight on eBay. Yeah. That's what will happen.
So that's my fear. That's my... I'm just thinking in my head. I've gone in for the Thundercat collection Kickstarter. I sat in it for ages, and I went on it when they gave you a free Mark Spears comic. But if I've got that would look nice next to this, wouldn't it? James is saying they look massive. They do, but you're absolutely right, Andy. These will sit in the shelf. I'll never read this, I don't think.
Yes, you're going to buy it. Do it. Like you. What are you going to have? You're going to have like your what one did you say you just picked up? Or you don't?
Thundercats.
So you're going to have Thundercats. You're not going to have Transformers. What sort of geek are you? Come on.
That's what I'm thinking. Fuzzy, the guy who run the Stanley documentary, cancelled his Kickstarter. Not surprised at all, Fuzzy. I think he got beasted because it was a buzz. Did you see much about that Kickstarter, Andy?
Yeah. I watched the interview that he done on Beyond Wednesdays and Brian McClay's YouTube show, and I'd seen a lot of sort of back and forward with him and stuff like that, and he articulated himself really, really well. It was all very unsettling. Some of the stuff that I'd seen on the previews of it, you were just like, oh my goodness, it's not right.
I mean, it's interesting that the film itself, there's a lot of hoo-ha about why didn't he stop it at the time and all that kind of stuff, and we don't know the full story of that. There's lots of stuff going on there, I guess. But the thing that was most interesting for me was, and I think again it might have been Fuzzy that pointed it out, when you looked at the Kickstarter and the actual campaign, it was bonkers. At no point did you get a copy of the film. It was just a very strange, and there was a bit where you could do it
happen, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was a bit where you could do a tour of where the abuse took place. He would drive you around and show you. It was just odd, just very, very odd. I am conscious of time, Andy. We're going over here. We've got lots to get through, so I'm going to skip through some of these. This is your book. You picked this one to talk about, and I've read it. So let us know what you think of this one.
Yeah, absolutely. So Pastime issue number 1. This is from Mad Cave Studios. So this was one that I seen on, I think it might have been in previews, and then it sort of caught my eye. I definitely seen it on FOC, and I stuck it up on my Instagram as one to look out for. I know that Efren was interested in reading this as well, and I think Fuzzy mentioned it in his IG. And I went into this as a person who is not a baseball fan. But again, I've read wrestling-based comics and not been a wrestling fan, and I've enjoyed those. And this had a really, really great start, but a little bit of a confusing start to me because I didn't quite understand at the start what was going on. I didn't really, and I didn't read the synopsis, so I didn't really get that it was kind of a vampire-esque sort of, almost that sort of film noir type feel about this comic. And until I'd got to the end of it, and it sort of clicked where I realised, oh, this is what's going on. And it's one of those books that you could be put off if you don't quite understand what you're getting yourself into, especially if the hook isn't there with the baseball theme, because they don't just kind of glide over the baseball. It isn't just just there for people to pick up and go, oh, this is a baseball comic. There's lots of narrative about it, and there's at least 5 or 6 pages of them actually playing baseball, and it's all based around the idea that the main character, who portrays vampire-esque tendencies, isn't able to play baseball during the day, obviously because of the sunlight. And in the 1920s, they introduce playing baseball at night, and that's when he all of a sudden appears, and that's his opportunity to reinvigorate his love of baseball. And that's kind of where we got to it. There wasn't a huge amount of character development or backstory to it, and it definitely left me wanting a little bit more and very intrigued to find out what happens to this guy. What did you think?
So I remember Efren mentioning this on Pick's show, and then when you messaged and said you were reading it, I thought, oh, I'll give it a go. I am not a sporting person. He'll probably not tell that from us, Andy, but I'm not a sporting person. And the thought of reading a baseball comic left us cold. But just like you, I thought, actually, I've read wrestling books and really enjoyed it. I echo pretty much everything you said. I got about halfway through and I thought, I don't know what the shit's going on here. I'm not quite sure who's doing what. And there's a bit where a guy talks to him when he's looking for a ball, and then later on he meets him in the diner, and he's blind, I believe. And I had to go back 2 or 3 times to think, was that the same man? Because he didn't appear blind.
Obvious.
When he was. I didn't appreciate this was a vampire book until very much pretty much the end. In fact, I don't think it's even in the story. I think it was the image for the next issue or something. I thought, oh. And
it's the fact that they put the pea in the ear like stakes and stuff like that. It didn't even dawn on me that it was a vampire story.
Yeah. So it was interesting. The artwork was good. I liked the artwork. I'm intrigued by who I'm presuming is the vampire. Has got some kind of fake nose thing. Again, that wasn't explained or shown, but his glasses get knocked off at one point and his nose goes with it. I thought, oh, what the hell is that? But all of that said, I really enjoyed it, and it left us wanting more. I was confused, but in a good way, if that makes sense. It left us wanting to go and check it out and see what happens in the next issue. So yeah, it was a good read. I enjoyed it. It
was definitely one of those ones where you had to sort of, I don't know if you read it digitally like I did,
but
I
read this
definitely went back and forth going, and I think I might have read it 3 or 4 times by the time that I'd actually got to the end of the first viewing of it, because there was just it wasn't a flowing story, it wasn't cohesive, and it almost assumed that you knew these things were happening or already happened. So
like I say, maybe it's going to be explained later on and I'm just missing the point. But the bit with the whole the guy in the diner who's blind, I'm sure is the guy who was looking for the balls earlier. And in my head I'm thinking, hang on, the guy who you've got searching for baseballs is blind? It doesn't show me. I don't know. It just felt. I was like, I don't know if that's the same man, or if it's not the same man, or what.
Yeah, it was. Now that you mentioned it to me, I'm even more confused than what I was when I was reading it. So yeah, I might need to go back and reread this one.
And have a look. Fuzzy's after this one. He says he fancies it. Still not found it. It's worth a read, Fuzzy. It is worth a read. I'm just very quickly going to mention this, Andy. This is a bit of a shame. Weapon X-Men has been launched just about 2 months ago. New X-Men team with Cable, Warpath, Deadpool, Wolverine and Chamber from the old X-Force run. I think there's only been 2 issues out so far. It'd been binned after 5 issues because basically issue 1 just bombed. It tanked, sadly. Didn't make the sales they wanted, and the writer and Marvel have come out and said if a book doesn't make sales on the first issue, history would tell them it's incredibly unlikely that it manages to pick up. It's not a case of it rises as it gets more popular. So they've pulled the plug, which is a bit of a shame. So I just thought would mention.
Did you read the first issue? Was it?
I did, and it was all right. It didn't blow us away, but it was okay. It was. Yeah. I haven't rushed to read issue 2, mind, I have to say. But yeah, it was all right. Nothing great. And I guess that kind of slides have jumped there. That cancellation and thinking that book's disappearing, and then the next image I saw was this for Cobra Commander and Duke, and I had that kind of moment that we talked about these books a lot. We talked about the Energon universe a lot, about G.I. Joe, about Duke, about Scarlet, and all that. All those books. I ain't read any of them. I don't think I've even read when they all accumulated into the G.I. Joe series. So to see that it was still out there, still going, was like a bit of a, oh, I just forgot all about that. I mean, how about you?
No, I'm exactly the same. I mean, I guess I'm not a good example of it because I kind of dropped off comics as a whole for a good while. But I do obviously remember us reviewing the first sort of couple of issues of this. But again, I think that nostalgia thing will keep a lot of the buyers picking these up old and young. And that's probably the reason why these are still selling strong. And it's probably at the point now where there's no return. It's like, you're that knee deep in it that you're just going to continue to pick them up. It's interesting though because I think like the first and second, maybe third issues of these runs done really well, and these still sell well, I believe.
Yeah.
Because it'd have been interesting. Would they have just stopped the likes of G.I. Joe and stuff like that if the sales weren't that great, or would nostalgia have kept them on the shelves? I don't know.
Absolutely, it does make us reflect a little bit, and I know, like you say, we've both kind of dipped in and out of comics for a while. But there are a lot of series and books out there that I start reading and I really like, or I just think, oh, I'm going to pick that up, and then for whatever reason, they just lose my mind.
Yeah.
Or I just forget. So as an example, I read, and I don't know if you read anymore, the Daniel Warren Johnson one, the Moon is Following or something. Do you remember that one?
2 issues of that I got, and again I just totally dropped off. I think I'm more of a recommendation person now because I'll stick to 3 or 4 books because what I tried to do is consume as much as I could. And then it got to the point where that's no sustainable and you start to mix up different books, especially if it's all in the same sort of universe. So I go very much heavy on recommendations, whether it be watching yourself and Airfriend or Fuzzy's IG. That's what I would pick up a book and decide to read it or not.
And I think it comes back to the comment I've made before that I think my preferred reading style is all in one lump in a trade paperback. I think if it's monthly, there's much more chance, because I am very old, there's much more chance that I'll just forget about books. Do you know what I mean? You know, if I'm not seeing them in the comic shop or they're not in my face, I can go a couple of months without seeing it, and then it's out my head, and I just don't, which is exactly what's happened here with this series, you know?
Absolutely. I think the fact that we don't really touch on the FOC or the sort of indie books or even the hardcovers and stuff like that as part of the show, that also gave me an excuse to browse every week and see what's coming out, what's happening. I always look at FOC to put my offer through Slab Crusaders. So I'm always aware of what's coming out, but I can't remember the last time I looked through previews. I get my updates and previews from you and Efren and from Fuzzy. So
Fuzzy's just saying about that Weapon X issue on suffered because it had the big Doom World banner on it and it had nothing to do with the Doom story. I think it put people off. Yeah, Fuzzy, you're right, mate. I don't know that World Under Doom thing's going too well, to be honest. I've not heard many people buzzing about it. Only one I've been reading is Void Rivals, which continues to be decent. Yeah, Dan, I dipped in and out of Void Rivals, but I went back to it and really enjoyed it. It is a consistently good story. Are you reading that one, Andy?
I'm not. Again, dropped off it, and I don't know if I'm at the point of no return where it would be worth me going back into it. Again, it'd be a trade paperback for me if I was going to do anything.
Yeah. Excuse me. I bought 6 copies of G.I. Joe 1, never went back. I don't think I've even read it. Have you read G.I. Joe 1 or not? We didn't read it on the show. We didn't read it on the show, I don't think.
Do you know what? I think I did read it, but it's that long ago, and it obviously didn't make that huge amount of impact on me. I can't remember if it was any good or not.
Being Frank, nice to see you. Thank you for joining, bud. Thank you for joining. So yeah, I'm interested in the chat, guys. Are there any books that you started reading or have been reading and are quite passionate about, and then have just completely forgotten about them and then rediscovered later on? Because for me, there is a few out there that I just kind of come across now and then and think, oh, that just I completely forgot that I was meant to be reading that.
I guess the flip of that is there been many runs or stories that you've actually actively kept reading, And I mean, I think the last one was Avengers Twilight for me. I think that's the one I was like looking forward to actually picking up.
Yeah, Avengers Twilight, and for me it was the James Tynion, The Deviant. I loved that.
Deviant, yeah.
But then that had, and also, what was the one about the bowling? The guy who was bowling. Holy Roller?
Holy Roller, yeah.
Yeah, both of which
Suffered
with delays for the last few issues, which again paid us off, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, last review. Me and Andy have both read Absolute Batman #7. As Fuzzy said, guest artist this issue. What did you think of the art, Andy?
It was. So, am I right in saying that every Absolute Batman interior has been different artists, or just some of them?
I'm not. I think it's random. I don't think we've had a consistent artist, to be honest.
I found the Absolute Batman series quite fragmented, sort of disjointed in a lot of ways. And I don't know if that's the change up in artist or just that I'm maybe not concentrating enough when I'm reading it. And I guess that's probably one of the problems when I'm reading a Batman book or any comic for that matter. I don't really have to concentrate. I want to be taken to a place for 32 pages and then I can just leave it and forget about it. Artwork for this was okay. I thought the color work was superb on this. I thought that really done the book well. Artwork, it was just nothing great, nothing bad, and you know it didn't do anything good or bad to the story for me. Yeah. What about yourself?
I didn't mind it. I felt it felt different to the previous issues, I guess for me. But I quite liked it. I thought the story was interesting. I am enjoying Absolute Batman, but it really does. It takes an effort for us to try and stop thinking about this being a Batman story, because it's so far removed at times from what we're used to, and so weird that I have to kind of say, no, just forget it. Just go with the story. Stop trying to fit it into your Batman mold. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, the bit where he's climbing up walls with his cape, like a bat wings, which I love, but I'm thinking, oh, come on, that looks, it's not Batman. What are you doing? But I am enjoying it. The switch on Mr. Freeze was interesting. Quite like that.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah.
I loved the image of his parents. That was pretty interesting. Mr. Freeze is some kind of, I don't know what you describe it as, ice monster thing at the end or whatever it was. That's going to be interesting. I am still enjoying it. What I would say out of all the absolutes, and I've not read Martian Manhunter yet, that's on my list for next week. Out of all of them, I still think Wonder Woman is streets ahead of everything else. I'm loving
Yeah, Wonder Woman's absolutely fantastic. I haven't read the Martian Manhunter, but I do enjoy Martian Manhunter. I think the last time I read the 6 issues of that was when Joshua Middleton was doing the covers for it. So
yeah. Like a neat little Freeze logo there. Harbinger. I don't think I read any of that by Valiant. Yeah, I remember seeing. I never really got into the Valiant universe. It was Magnus Robot Fighter and things Valiant as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was.
What you call the Dinosaur Hunter? Is that Tuvok?
Turok.
I watched a bloody awful film about one of the Valiant characters, I think. Was it Vin Diesel? Bloodshot or something?
Bloodshot, yes, Bloodshot's cool. That's the one with the classic. Was that not the classic foil cover?
I think so. And he's got the red spot in the middle of his chest. I remember watching the movie and thinking, Terry is just saying, just out of the 21st century got CLZ. I'm inputting the latest books I've bought and not read yet. I've already done a long box full. Time to trim and pull list, I think. You can just, it builds and builds and builds.
Do you have CLZ, Peter? Do you use CLZ?
I don't, and I don't really catalogue my books, to be honest, but I am going to try and start cataloguing my slabs in some way. I haven't decided what mechanism I'm going to do that yet.
I've had CLZ from its early incarnation, and I get, whenever they started to do like a monthly subscription, I got what they call grandfathered onto it. They kept the price, and I didn't pay anything for it, so I still don't pay anything for the premium stuff. And anybody who has a comic collection, I would suggest getting CLZ.
Using it.
You can also hook it up to cover price as well. which shout out to Cover Price. That's a fantastic website if you're looking for up-to-date prices for any of your books.
So CLZ, does that do slabs as well? Can you record your slabs on that, or is it?
You can put your slabs in. You can just mark it as like as a slab and what the grade is and all that good stuff. And if you hook it up to Cover Price, it will look up the most recent prices and stuff like that for you.
I'll have a look. Bloodshot is awesome. Is that the comic, being frank, or are you talking about the movie? I remember, like I said, I don't think I've read the comic, but I've certainly seen the film. Fuzzy, I loved Martian Manhunter. Yeah, that's on my pile to take next week, Fuzzy. Green Lantern was okay. Yeah, I've not read that one yet. Not read that. Leon, there's a way you can tell that Vin Diesel films are going to be shade. Look for the words starring Vin Diesel. Wow. Wow. It's I can't disagree. Yeah, can't disagree. Although I am a bit of a fan of what's the ones where he's a blind monster hunter. Is that Pitch Black?
Oh yeah, my missus loves that film as well. She's a Vin Diesel fan. Can't imagine why.
Yeah. I've got the Grandfather Legacy CLZ as well, Andy. It's a great app.
Yeah, it's superb.
What's the one that the guy I had on, I think you were on this, I can't remember if you're on the show, the Saturday Night Live show, and it was the one where you scan the slabs and it automatically...
Shortboxed.
Shortboxed, yeah.
Yeah.
I quite like the look
was
of
it
them.
Kevin?
Kevin, that's right.
Yeah.
Quite like the look of that. Yeah. Pitch Black, the exception that proves the rule. Yeah. I use Zap Kapow for my books.
That's another good one. Yeah.
Yeah, we used to do a lot of shows using Zap Kapow stuff, Efren, didn't we? Yeah, they're a great setup.
What I do with the CLZ is if I've got, so you can create different boxes in CLZ, and I just have my eBay box and I have them all listed, and you can actually extract some of the information and then just copy and paste it on eBay. So there's a top tip for you.
Very cool. See, I need to get better at all this stuff. Mine are just kind of stuck in boxes. I haven't got any clue really what I've got, which is why I keep buying the same bloody books repeatedly and then thinking, oh, I've got that, I'm sure. Groot is Vin Diesel's best work. It certainly is most emotive, absolutely. Isn't it? Yeah, it certainly is. Okay, little bit of artwork I just wanted to talk about. This is a chap called Despop Art. I'm just going to grab something that he's put on Instagram for us. This is a chap that a friend of mine, Patron of Comic Arts, please do check out his Instagram page. He knew I was getting more and more into original artwork, comic book covers and things like that. And he mentioned that this guy, Des Taylor, is a UK-based artist who's worked in the industry, does a lot of bombshell variants for DC. He's got his own comic book and he does a lot of pop art kind of stuff. So I jumped on his website and he's got these stunning images. These are prints for sale, a lot of them. He's also got that Vampirella book, which is a limited edition book that's coming out over on Vault Collectibles, but also on Des's website. So if you search up Des Pop Art, you'll find him. So I loved it. I loved his artwork. But then I spotted that he also does sketch covers for ridiculously cheap prices. So that's the one there, Andy. I spotted that one. I thought, you normally like a bit of a Dread cover. And I got a little bit sucked in. So I've picked up 3 of these things. So that's the 3 I've picked up. I got the Batman, the Hawkeye, and the Flash. But the interesting thing is, I don't know when you get your, because I know you're big into original comic art, Andy. I like a splash of colour. I think sometimes they look a bit dull when they're just like that. So I messaged the guy on Instagram and said, for the Hawkeye and the Flash, is there any chance you can stick a bit of colour on it for us? Because I know you do your own colouring. And for a very small additional price, he's done that for us. So it made us think, something maybe we should do on this show really is start to try and highlight some of the artists that are out there, the independent artists and things.
100%, yeah, totally agree. I actually done the same thing whenever you were talking about it on your show. I went and had a look on his Instagram, straight on his website, and I seen that Judge Dredd one, and I was so close to pick it up. But it's interesting you say about the touch of colour, and I think looking at those books, I think obviously a touch of colour on the Batman one would be a bad choice, but the Flash, absolutely, to complement the red logo as well. I think that would be superb. Yeah.
So you collect what is it about original artwork that draws your attention, Andy? Why have you kind of moved some of your collection into that side of things?
It's one of ones. Nobody else has got it, and that for me is the biggest sort of I guess the biggest benefit of it, it's like, anybody can buy a comic, or stuff like that. But the fact that you've got some of those pages from that comic, especially if it's a comic that you really like personally, or is a well-known one, and obviously getting a front cover. So I was lucky enough to get a front cover for a free comic book day that Jock had done. And it was a significant number, but it was one of those things. It was like almost like a bit of a treat. It's like, I'm going to do this. It's a one-off and see what it goes. But what I found is that when you do pick up original art, you want to get another one, and you want to get another one, and then you want to find a nice place to store it or display it. And then I sort of sent you the sort of folio that I picked up as well. I just love the fact that it's a one of one. And I would be more inclined to pick up an original art piece at a con than I would be to get a commission done, if I'm honest.
Yeah. It's funny because I went down that route of, and these are the exception, I guess. I went down that route of always asking for a commission rather than looking through the portfolio of stuff someone's got on the desk, So I could have gotten a commission from this guy, but then and I probably will at some point, but then when I was flicking through, I thought, why would I? He's got ready-made stuff there that I can get within the next week or two, and it's just stunning. So why not just jump on that,
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think I showcased my Judge Dredd artwork that I got from eBay, and I think I picked it up for like 10 or 15 quid, and it was a guy called David Miles Golding.
Yeah.
And the stuff that he does is so affordable. Even, and the quality of the stuff, like I was a bit like, is this a print or stuff like that? But you could see the brush strokes and stuff like that, the pen marks. And I think Fuzzy had a look at some of his stuff. I don't know if Fuzzy's, let me know, Fuzzy, if you've picked up any stuff from eBay. But yeah, David Miles Golding, I definitely recommend you go check him out.
Okay, so guys, ladies and gents in the chat, please do, if there's an artist that you want to feature, please stick it in the comments or message me or Andy, and we'll make sure it's on the show, and we'll just put a few images up of the stuff they do. If you're interested in Dez's stuff, check out www.despopart. Like I say, he does a whole host of prints like those, and then he does sketch covers, and he's open for commissions as well. Fuzzy's confirming he bought something. Good stuff. Good, yeah, so please do check out Des. Let him know the Killer Comic Show sent you his way. Okay, we're near the end of the show, guys. I want to do, Andy, I am sorry, because I know this is the Killer Comic Show. But I want to do a little bit of self-promotion, if you don't mind.
Well, the way I look at it, Peter, before you kick off, this is all part of the Triple G network. We're just a small piece of your empire.
I like to call it the empire. So this is something me and you have talked a lot about, and the more we've talked, the more excited I'm getting, really. This is Operation Global Geek Guide. It stems from a video that James Mack did about the closing of a comic shop down in London, and a proper old style comic shop, and also from my frustration. And I know you travel a bit as well, Andy, with your work. I tend to move around the country a bit, and I'm forever ending up in cities and things and wondering, is there any vintage toy shops? Are there any vintage comic shops? And you're going to find on Google Maps your Forbidden Planets and that shit.
I'll be honest, Peter, the first thing I Google for is if there's any good kebab shops.
Well, naturally, yeah. Well, obviously, kebabs, then
comics
and toys. Yeah.
Just
So I thought it would be good to get support from the community in pulling together a bit of a map of various geeky shops that perhaps don't feature on your Google Maps and all that kind of stuff. So please go check out the video, check out the Instagram post. This is very much the start. Me and Andy have been talking. We're looking at doing a website. We're looking at doing something that you can enter your information onto, have images of the places, a link to good YouTube sellers, whatnot sellers, that kind of stuff. So it's kind of snowballing a little bit, Andy, isn't it? It sounds like it's going to be quite exciting.
Guilty as charged, Peter. When you're a geek and you can throw together a website and stuff like that, I was like, okay, well, why don't we do this? Do this, and then it sort of, as I think because what we realised was that first of all, it's a great idea, and it's got many facets that we can go into. So we can go into eBay sellers, and we can go into whatnot sellers, and it's not really us just picking up all the people that we like. This is going to be a free for all. there will be some sort of review of them just to make sure that it's legit and that there's, you want to be promoting the right things, I guess. But yeah, I'm very much excited. I think it's a great idea, and I guess to use the term, what can be more community than this?
Absolutely. So please do check that out, and please support it. So circulate it to people who you think might be able to help. Leon, I dread to think what my medals are for, so I can tell you one is the Queen's Jubilee and one is my long service medal. Fuzzy, do you accept German strip clubs? That's a separate site, Fuzzy, that we've pulled together. It's not just German strip clubs either. It's lots of other exciting places. And that's whack, I think. Sorry, wrong channel. Wow. That's the end. There we are on the socials. You can check out Charlie over on Geeky Guy Comics. Myself on it. Actually, I'm going to have to change that. I haven't. That's right. I am on Instagram still. What's the other one? Twitter. X. I've abandoned that because it's a cesspool of individuals. So I've removed myself from X. But I am on Instagram, and I am, of course, over on YouTube. Andy, where can the good people find you?
You can find me on Instagram or perpetual.comics, as my little thing suggests there. And you can also find me on X, and I love cesspools.
So I've heard. Yeah, I've got the photos as well. Okay, anything we want to add before we go, Andy?
No, again, it's been fun, and thanks to everybody that's been in the chat that's going to watch the Rewind. Again, just to ask, if you've not subscribed to the Killer Comic Show, please do so. I think there's about 60 people away from getting to 1,000 subscribers. And dare I say, Charlie's been working a long time to get to that 1,000. So it'd be great if you could share this with as many people as possible to get there. And I guess from my perspective, just if you want to check me out on Instagram, that would be awesome. If not, cool.
Check them out. And I think it's fair to say, in terms of UK comic book community and shows that talk about comics and things like that, nobody deserves 1,000 subs more than Charlie for the Killer Comic Show, because he's been plugging away at this for a long time, hasn't he? And providing entertainment for people. So please do support Charlie and the channel by giving Killer Comic Show a sub and sending it to your mates and getting people to watch. Thank you very much, Andy. And can I just say as well, you guys in the chat have been absolutely superb tonight. The comments have been brilliant. This is what I enjoy more than the comic chat. Sometimes it's just the interaction with the chat. So thank you for that. We do appreciate it.
I was going to say, should we remind people about staples of the rustiness that thing is?
Rusty staples. Take it away. What? Tell the adoring public a little bit about rusty staples.
Well, I guess if you've enjoyed the show and you enjoyed myself and Peter having a chat about comics and all things geek, then we are working on putting together a show that is going to, I think, be on both channels as well. Rusty Staples, and we're working with the name because it does sound a little bit like a German stripper, to be honest with you.
I don't have a problem with that.
Wanted to.
That was Rusty Navels. Rusty Navels.
Oh, right, yeah, my favourite. So yeah, we're working on that at the minute, and we'll get lots of ideas. But it's just finding the time, because some of us are away on holiday for 2 weeks.
Yeah, but I think it's worth saying. Me and Andy have been talking about this for a long time, really, because we don't want to just pinch other people's ideas and do the same stuff other channels are doing. So we've got some, I think, quite unique ideas of stuff, all comic based, all around, collecting and things like that. Maybe a little bit of market watch, which we don't really do over here. So there's some interesting stuff coming. So please do keep an eye out for that. Okie dokie. Well, thank you very much, everybody. We do appreciate you spending some time with us. I'm looking at the slide. This is Charlie's set of things. The outro is only 5 seconds long, so you'll probably still see what on the screen.
I've done lots of things in 5 seconds, Peter.
Oh, I could do it twice. Anyway, night, everybody. We do appreciate you watching. We'll catch you all next time. Take care.